Welcome to the Aging Boomers. I'm your host, Frank Sampson, and of course on this show we discuss so many of the issues facing boomers, their parents, and what we know, of course, is an aging population. And first of all, I just want to thank everybody for all their support. We've had a massive influx of additional listeners even over the past week, so thank you so much for that. And just for those that may not be aware, you could get updates regularly on iTunes or iHeartRadio. You could also, many have just downloaded the free app, which is the Aging Boomers on your iPhone or Android phone, or gone directly to our website at agingboomers.com. And so thank you for all your support. And I want to remind everybody that today's show is sponsored by Senior Care Authority, a professional senior placement and elder care consulting organization that has a national network of advisors to help in determining the right path for senior living and receiving proper care. So whether it's in-home care, assisted living, residential, or memory care, get the necessary advice from a senior care advisor in your area by calling Senior Care Authority at 888-809-1231, or you could go directly to the website at www.seniorcareauthority.com. And I just want to let everybody know, as many of you know, my book came out called The Aging Boomers, which is came out in Kindle a month or so, but now it's on paperback, so you can get it. You could just go to Amazon or my website and just type in The Aging Boomers on Amazon, and you could get the book. We're pretty excited about it. We've got some rave reviews and some pretty good accolades from Amazon and many others. So thank you for your support there as well. So I'm bringing back somebody who was on our show shortly after we started our podcast, and I'm excited to have her back, Nina Downey. And Nina has been practicing physical therapist since 2003. Prior to that work in cardiac rehabilitation, neurologic rehabilitation with specialties in spinal cord injuries, stroke, and brain injury. In 2014, she took her private practice to a new level in the delivery of healthcare via webcam physical therapy. That's what we talked about some time ago, so I'm excited to get an update there. Nina is a very innovative person, and recently she began the development of educational materials, starting with granny cards, an aid to communication for those who interact with persons having memory loss. So we're excited to hear about this new endeavor. And Nina, welcome back to the Aging Boomers. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Frank. It's a pleasure to be back, and I'm very, very excited to talk with you and everyone listening about my granny cards.
Great. So I'm just going to start right out and ask you, what are granny cards?
Well, granny cards are intended for people who spend time interacting with persons who have memory loss. And if we think about that, that would be family, primarily family. It would be friends. It would be caregivers, and like myself, skilled healthcare professionals. And the aid is focused on that interaction when the person who has memory loss goes through a period of time where they're repeating themselves. They repeat the same very few questions over and over again. It's a form of perseverating. And when you answer the question as you're interacting with them, it doesn't stay. They're going to ask you again a few seconds later, a few minutes later. And it has a very negative impact on the interaction from the person's point of view who's trying to help them, visit with them, give them medication, take them for a walk. And it becomes extremely frustrating. Granny cards are a way to break that cycle of questions and do it in a game-like, gentle manner that I have seen firsthand works wonders.
So tell me, I mean, I know we chatted a little bit earlier, and you went through, and still going through a personal situation that, with your mom, that kind of brought on the whole granny card idea. Tell us more about that.
Yes. I had my mom living with me for the last couple of years. She was declining, some memory loss, but what might be, I wouldn't say normal, but it would be something acceptable for somebody in their 80s, as my mom is. And I noticed that after a period of illness, which we came to find out was a series of small strokes and then a very large one, she had a massive, sudden loss of memory. So the area that the stroke impacted was her long-term memory, and then it actually impeded her short-term memory to the point where I could count the seconds between answering her question and her asking it again. And it got so bad that she was, and this transpired, the really bad part of it transpired over about a week, where she was not recognizing me. So there was a period after a few falls of hospitalization, and she just declined to the point where I don't think I can help her. I don't think I can help with this frustrating questions and answers. I was a physical therapist. I thought I could manage it, but no. So through the course of skilled nursing facilities, emergency rooms, hospitals, and then finally to assisted living, I found that I was not the only one who was having trouble communicating with someone who was memory loss. And I saw family members, people who shared rooms where my mom was, family members, daughters, friends, caregivers, nurses, therapists, all getting a little bit frustrated. And that frustration when they would come in and say, "Hi, Mrs. So-and-so, we're gonna go for a walk today," and they would say, "When am I going home?" "Well, you're going to go home when the doctor says it's okay." "Let's get up. When am I going home?" And this would happen, and the family members would not come back to see their loved one because of this frustration. Physical therapy was less, and all this negative outcome because it was frustrating and difficult to communicate. So
Right.
I created a prototype of the granny cards because they had not been invented yet. They were in my mind that there's a better way to interact. And the granny cards I thought would be something that would help the in-the-moment communication, because we all have to understand that we are not going to affect their memory. We're not going to improve their memory. And to think that we're going to is incorrect. The key phrase here is the in-the-moment interaction. And what we want to do is break that cycle of the questions so that we can spend time with them and enjoy that time and not be frustrated. And that's what the granny cards do. And I'll explain to you exactly how those granny cards work. Now, I have put together 48 question and answer cards, and I'll describe them a little bit better in a minute. But the purpose is that these are the commonly asked questions and the commonly given answers. And the way it works is...
Oh, we might have lost you here. Nina, you still there? Nina? All right, we're going to try to give her a call back here. Okay, let's give Nina a call back, and we'll hang in there. We're going to continue that conversation. Technology is great when it all works well. So, here we go. Let's just get her back, and we'll continue the conversation. She might still think we're on the phone.
Hello?
Hey, we lost you, so let's just continue. We just all of a sudden lost you. So you were just explaining kind of how the granny cards work.
Okay. So with the granny cards, what I'm doing is I'm interacting with my mom, and she's asking me the same questions over and over again. And one of the main questions, and I have chosen these cards ahead of time, so I know the questions she's asking, and one of them is, when am I leaving here? When am I going home? So I hold up the card that says, when am I leaving? And I read it to her, Mom, when am I leaving? And she looks at the card and she hears me repeating her question. Then I turn the card over and the card says, when the doctor says that you're well. And then I turn the card back over and I set it in front of her. And then I say, Mom, and I continue with the conversation. About 30 seconds later, she'll look at me and say, when am I getting out of here? And I'll point to the card and I'll read the question again. And she'll look at it, and she'll read it silently, and I'll turn it over, and then she'll read the answer, and she'll mouth it, and she'll read it, and she'll say, oh, when the doctor said so. So then we turn the card back over and leave it in front of her. And now we've broken that cycle of questions, and I can go on and talk to her about how her dog is and what's going on. And then when she starts to ask that question, eventually she just looks down, she reads the question, turns over the answer, oh, and that part of her need to get this question out and get an answer is right in front of her. So the interaction improves. No longer am I saying, Mom, I just told you that, or feeling frustrated or looking frustrated. Instead, I'm saying, Mom, good job. You looked at the card. I'm so proud of you. You remembered to look at the card. They're not hearing praise for such things. Right. And this is a way of breaking that very difficult, very frustrating cycle of communication so you can have an in-the-moment communication that's satisfying to you as you're getting information across and rewarding to the person that you came to see or to help, depending on what your role is.
That's great. So let me ask you a question. Are you leaving one card at a time in front of her? Is it possible there actually might be more than one card at any given time?
Well, that's a good question. The cards are set up with the 48 question cards, an index of the question card, and then also what we call a quick start card. So it tells you on there to open the box and review the cards, because at that point in time, you're going to know the questions that this person has been asking. Whether you're a caregiver and it's about medication, or a family member and it's about going home, or how is my dog, and you will pull out this card. So there could be 3 main questions, there could be 5, there could be 2. And you would still probably keep your cards with you. You bring them to each visit. So you're prepared for the questions that you've heard before, and it could be a couple of them. And that's where the 48 question cards come from. What's interesting, too, is that if the question is, why do I have to eat? There could be 3 or 4 different answers, so there's 3 or 4 different answer cards. And the cards are designed that on the front is the question, but when you turn over the back and the answer's there are lines on the back of the card where you could use a permanent marker or you could use an erasable marker, so that if they ask, where am I, and it says the hospital on the back, you could write, you're at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, you're at Marion Medical Center. You can list where they are, and that could be permanent or erasable. So and then you have that, so it's more information. It individualizes or customizes the card to the person that you're interacting with, and it's erasable. So if you're a caregiver or a professional, a skilled healthcare professional, you can use them with multiple patients. So yes, there definitely could be a number of cards.
I mean, did you find in your mom's situation or others that are using the card, feedback maybe you're getting from others, that it actually helped in them just not repeating? They all of a sudden just stop asking that question?
They do during the interaction with you at that time, because there's something, what we realize is that when you're speaking to the person, and you're giving them an answer auditorially, that's not kept. It's not left in their brain. It goes literally in one ear and out the other. So when you put the card in front of them and you repeat it, so you're saying it, so you're getting it, auditory, they're getting that input, visual, because you're reading it to them. So even if they can't pick up a novel and read, and my mother used to read, she could not read a novel now. She can't retain it. But she could read a sentence, especially if I read it to her.
Right.
Then she would hear it, she would read it, and then after I put the card down in front of her, when she would look it over herself, and mouthing it meant she was getting it to me when she was, where am I? And then she would turn it over. Now she also has tactile input. So we're hitting 3 separate areas of the brain to get this information there. So that satisfies it. After a couple of attempts, and it depends, one person that may be, less impaired can hold that card in front of them, and that's all they'll ask once. Another person may need a couple of times, but you can get on with the conversation as a family member, because they'll look down and see the front of the card and go, oh, I already asked that question. Okay, I know that. And then there's more time to interact, and it does stop the question. It did with my mom. It did with her roommates, and I've gotten some amazing feedback from users of how, because each person's so individual, and with dementia and memory loss and cognitive impairment, it's ever changing, and it's not going in a positive direction. So to hear how this is helping people with a variety of memory loss, levels of memory loss, from the users, from the family members, from the professionals, is very exciting, including giving me ideas for new cards, such as the question, where's my truck? Now, see, I did not include that one in there, but some of these people were driving.
Right.
And where's my car?
Wow.
So this is very important.
That's great. The one thing that you said some great things, but the one thing that really resonates with me is the fact that you're able to provide praise because they knew the answer. They got the answer, and then you could say, Mom, that's great. I think that's huge. That's huge in that whole process.
Yeah, and if you take it back to the beginning of where this came from, it was such and anyone who is experiencing this now, it'll bring tears to your eyes, because you feel like, I love this person. They're not even the person that I knew. I still love them. I'm getting frustrated, and that's not what I want. I want to be there for them. I want to, whatever's there that remains, I want to be there, and I don't want to. This is what I saw. I saw arms crossing from the person who's getting frustrated, eyes rolling, deep sighs, or just, I just told you that. And if you look at the person who has memory loss, they're not even realizing what they did wrong, because they didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. And they either get angry, or they get very sad, or they just close down. And isolation is not good. Any kind of interaction. I'd reach over, and my mom would put her hand on it and look at it, and I'd reach over, and I'd put my hand on her hand, and I'd say, good job. Again, tactile, eye-to-eye contact. And so using these cards, it's kind of game-like. I'm not saying, hey, look what I have, granny cards, we're going to play a game. It's not like that. It's bringing them into the conversation to change the pattern. And then you might get a smile, or you look in their eyes, you might get this feedback from them that they appreciate what you're doing. You answered the thing that's been bothering them, and you told them something nice. If a caregiver is having trouble getting a person to take their medication, sometimes just putting down the card that says, why do I have to take my medication? They see it in writing. There's some value to it. And then you turn it over, they see the answer. It's not just being given to somebody who just told them that. They see it written, and then whatever the specifics are, they usually can get them to take their medicine. And that's what I'm hearing from caregivers. Powerful.
Yeah. So I watched your video. I know you have a video on YouTube. Can you share with everybody? Because I know that, here talk about visual. We're doing this all audio. But I think it would be helpful for our listeners who might be interested in going to look at your video. How would they get that? Or how would they get to that?
It is on my website, and we'll give you my website now and then again later, and that is www.mypt, as in physical therapist, the number 4, health, HEALTH.com. And you go to the main page, and across the tabs at the top, you can go to videos, and there's a number of videos. They're free videos. The top video is Granny Card, and it's 6.5 minutes long. It takes you through examples of different cards and how to use them. And I am available on the website. You can contact me through the website to answer any questions or concerns. And one very good question, and this is very helpful because it doesn't say that in the video, is what stage, for those of you who have people that you interact with who are staged in Alzheimer's, for people up to stage 5 and bleeding a little bit over into stage 5, these cards will work. Because 7, as you know, is the most profound of dementia, and they're not able to comprehend any of this. So one of the things that I say to people, I say it in the video, is it's important for you as the user, once you've seen the video and you understand how the cards work, to determine if this is something you think will work for the person. Because memory loss is a spectrum, and people vary from day to day. So if you think with this game-like way, and you reading the card and then looking at it and then picking it up and turning it over, this is an ideal, it's a simple idea. It's a very, it's like, so why didn't I think about that? Well, I don't know, why didn't we think of it sooner? But it's so simple, but it's so valuable, and it's so powerful to change that interaction.
So what's the feedback you've been getting from those who are using the cards?
I'm finding that the majority, and it's interesting because primary caregivers, if we talk about family, and this is who I'm hoping to reach, especially through talking to you, because I've been to assisted living facilities, but what about people in the home dealing with this? The primary caregivers are very, very often firstborn daughters, and they're not the only ones, and I respect everyone who's taking care of someone who has memory loss. Their husbands, their sons, their brothers. There's a lot of people here. But I'm getting a lot of feedback from the firstborn daughters who have taken on this role, and I'm hearing, why didn't I have this when Dad was first diagnosed? Dad got it a few years ago. Or, this is the first time I feel like I can talk to my mom and not get angry. These are quotes, and these are email messages, and I encourage anybody who does send me feedback to please not use the name of the person, call them mom or dad, because of personal medical information, HIPAA requirements. It's best that you just send me it very general. And I appreciate all the feedback, but this is the first time I was able to talk with Mom and not get angry, and I can just hold her hand because she stopped asking those same questions, and then we can just sit in a very quiet, companionable silence. And these are very powerful things. And even having certain people, depending on the level, be able to say, oh, so you're taking care of my cat. Oh, I didn't, you probably told me that. I didn't realize that. I'm so happy. And the cat question went away, which was very interesting because there's not a lot of carryover, but something about knowing this person's cat was taken care of. So very, people are also coming back, according to the caregivers. Family members will come to the facilities to visit their loved ones more often when they're using the cards.
That's great.
It changes the interaction.
That's great. It's got to make you feel good.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So where do you see this going? Where? I mean, what's your expectations? Obviously, people could use it from anywhere around the world. Maybe you do it in different languages, huh?
Well, you must have read my notes, because I'll tell you that's where I'm thinking it going. But going back to the very near future, I'm hoping, because this is something that just needs to get out there word of mouth, and when someone uses it and someone sees someone else using it, that's huge. And when I get feedback, that is a good way for me to get it out there. So where I see it is I'd like it to become part of the national lexicon, Granny Cards, Aid to Communication, where people know this is one more tool in their toolbox to help deal with people who have memory loss and to understand, and this is very, very important, if you think of memory loss, dementia, cognitive impairment as a brain injury, it changes your perspective. We tend to fall back on mom's just being difficult, dad's just stubborn. You know, they know the answer to this. It's just because we have our own concerns and we don't like to see this. So think of it as a brain injury and use this as a tool, and it changes everything. And it's my first near future is get it out there. I want people to use it in their homes. I want people to use it, in the facilities. And I've sent it off as far as where's it going in the future. There's a Alzheimer's research and development company that is in Tucson, Arizona, who wanted to take a look at it, and they do research on. They're away from the medical side of it. They don't want to work on drugs. They don't think there's going to be that bullet that's going to fix it all. What they want to do is they want to do the research on things like yoga and things like reducing stress. And when they saw the cards, they thought this is a wonderful way to do it. So I'm waiting for feedback from them.
Great.
In the future, I also have copyright pending, and I have someone looking into possible trademark, patent, and maybe, we'll see where that goes. Trademark and patent.
That's
but
a good idea.
I have someone talking to me about the method. And the method is what I've developed, and we're hoping to put some software together so that the cards are purchased and they're sent anywhere in the United States free of no shipping. The cards cost $25 for the set, and if you're in California, there's tax. Anywhere in the United States, I ship for free. And then to accompany that, and this might be a while out, but we're working on it, is software that you could download that is much more detailed than the video on how to use it in different situations with all this wonderful feedback I'm getting.
That's great. So so they go to your website to order it?
Yes, it's under products on the website, so they can look at the video. Under video, they can go to products on the website.
Okay, and again, that's why don't you repeat that website again, because we're running out of time.
Okay, www.mypt, as in physical therapist, 4 health, HEALTH.com.
That's great. Nina, thank you so much for joining us. We didn't even have time to even talk about many other initiatives, but we got to have you back sooner. You're
right.
You're a very innovative person and doing great things. So thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Right. And I want to thank everybody else out there as well for joining us on the Aging Boomers. Just be safe out there, and we'll talk to you all soon.